Hi, my name's Dave Hadfield, and today I'm flying this P-51 Mustang. And let me tell you, no matter how often you fly one of these World War II fighters, it is still a delight to be able to say that. So the chocks are being pulled, and I'm being directed to taxi away from the building, and all I have to do today is fly the airplane. I'm getting reacquainted with it after a long summer of flying the Spitfire, which you can see out the right side of the airplane. And we've got an air show coming up in a couple of days, and we're going to be doing a formation flight, me and the Mustang, and then also with the Corsair and the Spitfire. So today is my day to take it up and just have fun with it. Now when you taxi one of these things, you can't see. The nose of the airplane's in the way. In fact, my helmet cam sticks up about 2 inches higher than my eyeball, so the visual picture is even worse than this. So you taxi by turning left and right, big S turns, and making sure it's clear ahead. So here's the run-up check. Let's listen to the Merlin. So run-up check complete and pre-takeoff check complete. We're all ready to taxi. And out we go off the ramp. Gatineau has one taxiway in the middle of a 6,000-foot runway. So I'll head out there, check that it's clear, and then backtrack off to the left, get the full length for takeoff. So here we are at the end of the runway, getting ready to take off. And today I'm going to do a little experiment starting off on the left-hand side of the runway. And the reason for this is the airplane tends to yaw to the left during takeoff. It takes a strong right rudder to keep it straight. So I'm starting off on the left-hand side with a significant heading to the right, expecting that during the takeoff the nose will yaw to the left and I'll end up right on the center line. I don't know if this is a recommended procedure or not, but I decided to do it today. As you see, it actually worked out pretty well. So canopy closed, checks are complete, final control check, transponder to alt, and one check for traffic, and we're about to roll. Now we don't open the throttle all the way up on these airplanes for takeoff because we simply don't need to. We don't have the wartime weights, the loads on the airplane. So instead of going up to 62 inches or thereabouts, a max takeoff setting, I'll get airborne with somewhere between 45 and 50 inches of manifold pressure, generally about 85% power. Then I'll be bringing it right back as soon as I can afterwards. Well, let's listen to this. So I'm climbing up to the east Ottawa's airspace is very complicated, very crowded. And today, in order to get some clear sky, I've got to go 10 to 15 miles to the east on the north side of the Ottawa River. And they capped me at 4,000. In fact, I'm operating between 1,500 and 4,000, which isn't really enough room for loops. But if you can't have fun doing rolls in a Mustang, well, you're hardly alive at all. So that's what I'm going to do. So on previous flights in the Mustang, I've already done spin training and upset training. So today I'm just going to roll the airplane in various different ways. A simple roll is not too complicated in one of these World War II fighters. You get about 220, 230 miles an hour, bring the nose well up above the horizon, check for a second, apply lots of aileron, and round she goes. Now you can stop inverted like I'm doing here, but you got to keep the nose coming down when you're inverted to keep oil pressure feeding to the crankshaft. You do want to keep some positive G on. Now I'm going to do a roll to the right, which is surprisingly difficult. We have to pull the stick to the right instead of pushing it to the left, so that's more awkward, but also the rotation of the propeller and the torque effect helps us if we roll to the left. However, we've got to be somewhat ambidextrous, so we'll practice a few to the right. The 4-point roll, I need to use more rudder. Some on the initial roll to the 90 degree and then come off the rudder. Not too much going to the inverted. And again, not too much going to the 3rd point, but between the 3rd and the 4th point, I do need top rudder to stop the nose from dropping too much. It is a magnificent day to be flying a Mustang. We couldn't ask for better. In fact, it makes me think about the generosity of the owner, Mike Potter of Ottawa, Ontario, who owns the whole collection, all the aircraft in it, and who has entrusted this P-51 to me. I just couldn't ask for a more wonderful opportunity to connect with our aviation heritage in Canada and try and keep it alive. Wingovers, which I'm doing now, are actually more difficult than they look. They're a precision maneuver. They're not as dramatic as rolls, but you have specific targets. You want to bring the nose up through the horizon with the wings level, and keep the ball absolutely in the center. Totally coordinated maneuver, and then let the nose come back down through the horizon at the 90-degree point with 90 degrees of bank on. Continue on and nose back up through the horizon again level, and never let the ball leave the center.
Oh, I have slipped the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter's silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun clouds done 100 things that you have never dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence. I've chased the wind alone. I've chased the wind alone. So fly on, old friend, to whatever waits for you. Fly on, old friend, your course was always true. And now we understand there's a fair wind in the blue. But here there's none who would not fly with you. Up, up the long, delirious burning blue, I've topped the windswept heights with easy grace, where never lark or ever eagle flew, the untrespassed sanctity of space. And with silent mind, lifting high, I've trod, put out my hand and touched, perhaps, the face of God. Touched the face of God.
Well, the fun can't last forever, and now it's time for me to bring the airplane back. The airport is just up ahead on the right. We plan our descents in the World War II fighters because it's not good for the engine to just yank the power off. We get down early, we have the RPM reduced, the manifold pressure reduced, run the speed up a bit, and get down using some aerodynamic drag rather than just get overhead and chop the power. Now, I have to fit in here. There are Cessnas and Katanas in this circuit, and I get no special priority. So I've had to turn early to the right. You can see the airport's off my left wing here now. I have no choice. I'm looking for these smaller airplanes. And what I end up doing here is circling. I mean, I did about 3 360s here to wait for it all to clear. And then finally I get an opportunity to come in. So I got the gear down, the flaps down. I'm just turning on base leg. The airport's off to the left. I'm farther out, much farther away from the runway that I want to be. Normally we like to stay close and do a continuous descending turn to touchdown because that keeps the landing environment in sight until just before you touch down. You see, once you're on final, if the nose is way up, you can't see forward anymore and you don't know how you're doing. However, I did get an opening in the traffic, so I decided to accept this. So I got the pre-landing checks done. As I say, the gear down, the flaps down, rolling in on final. Mustang takes a fair amount of power. It gets quite draggy when the gear and the flaps are down. Pretty much back to my approach speed now, and I'm going to attempt a wheel landing. You can see over the nose until about right now. Don't forget my eyeballs are 2 inches lower than the helmet camera. And now we transition to peripheral, and I pull the power off, and I come on with a couple of little thumps and skips. And that's because this is my first landing in the airplane after being in the Spitfire all summer. That's my excuse. But the important thing is to not overreact. Don't let a little skip turn into a giant bounce. Get it onto the ground and then keep it straight. We let it roll. We don't hammer on the brakes. There goes the taxiway. You notice I didn't try very hard to make it. Well, I don't really care about the taxiway, and I'm not too concerned with the airplane behind me. Don't relax. Keep it straight. Let it roll. And only when it's slowed well down do we squeeze the brakes gently with a stick hard back and bring the airplane to a safe speed for a 180 and a taxi back. Hey, there's our chipmunk. How you doing, guys? Looking good. And there's our taxiway and home base. It's usually a mistake to try and taxi one of these World War II fighters into tight quarters because you're blind, you're making a lot of air blast, you're never quite sure where a spectator might be. So we get close, shut her down, set the brakes, get the chocks in, and look for a tow or a push from some helpful volunteer.
At last, I'm back. At last, I'm back on track.